Yanks of the Roundtable at the start of the first international break. And can I say this really quick before we jump into the video and the intro? I hate this international break. I hate it. The first one of the season is terrible. I honestly cannot stand it, especially in a year where we had international tournaments being played. I don't want to see a friendlier version of games that I just watched like a month ago. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but maybe it's just me complaining as an old man. I just can't.
Even the players hated it. They're dropping like flies every single squad.
It's wild, bro. I don't know. To me, it's just we're 3 games in. You know, it's just this was so unnecessary, bro. Nations League does not matter.
Each month, isn't there? That's the worst part.
Yeah, I know, bro. I just don't get it, man. I don't get it. At least spare us September. You know, like spare us September and like start in October. At least then,
especially after international tournament too.
Yeah,
World Cup or Euros and Copa. Like especially after that, we're not really thirsting for international tournaments,
bro. And these managers, these international managers, calling up prominent key players in their sides this early in the season. It's just like, yeah, like you said, dropping like flies, man. I fucking hate it. Waking up this morning to Federmin Lopez injury news had me on the edge. I can't even lie. Like I was like, dude, this
Cole Palmer left to England. Chouameni left France.
Foden, I think, backed out.
Yeah, so it's just a point. They're just so pointless, especially after having a tournament. Like if this is like a summer where there's no World Cup, no continental championship, you're like, okay, whatever. But even then, it's like, what's the point? Half these countries like qualify with ease, anyways. Just going through it for no reason.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. It's a lot of games to stack up, especially when you have someone like I mentioned, Federmin with Barca, right? Who had literally 2 different call ups, and now I think what he exited from was the U21s, right? So like 3 different international competitions to an extent, and juggling the Barca season on top of that. I don't know, man. It's a lot to ask from a youngster. I don't see why the managers aren't calling up like players who are fringe with their national teams, like players who have something to prove, not the ones who are proven starters. Like I don't know. Anyway. My soapbox is done. I wanted to get ahead of that. But as you can see, today we are recording our summer transfer window rankings. That is on the agenda for today. There's already more than a few videos out there on the timeline on YouTube. We're going to add to that a little bit. Last year at this time, we graded every individual transfer, regardless of team. Took way too fucking long. Now we're going to grade every one of the 20 clubs, honestly, openly. There'll probably be a little bit of bias, but for the most part, we're going to try and bring our ball knowledge to how we think the summer business was done by each one of these Premier League clubs. And again, it's meant to be honest. It's also meant to grade just the window. It's not meant to grade how we think these teams are shaping up with the new signings. If you guys want that video, let us know down below. We'll think about it, but that's not going to be what this video is today. Again, solely just judging the summer window, irrespective of how these teams are performing in the league. All right. So as usual, I'm joined by Barca Boy 103, Austin Forbes. We're going to jump into this. I'll share my screen and we'll get this party rolling. We are going to do this in alphabetical order. But before I get there, let's check in, lads. Let's check in on the standings, man. This is how we're shaping up. Max came back a little bit, lad. He came back. He was 0-5. He was 0-5.
How am I doing the best? I thought I had a pretty crap weekend.
I did. I had a completely shit week, bro. I was almost at max levels. I got 1 right. And it was the City game.
50-50, I'll take it, though.
Yeah, 500 is not bad, bro. 500 is not bad. Austin was right there, too, at 4-6. I'm 3-7, and Max is climbing back at 2-8. So he got 2 right this past week.
That first week I killed it.
Bro, he got massacred that first week.
I don't know how he did that stuff.
I don't know. 0-5 is hard. It's actually hard to get every matchup wrong. Like, you could probably you could throw a dart at a fucking dartboard and probably get 1 right. You know what I mean?
Well, the bad thing is, did he pick like 3 draws?
Yes, that's why you don't sit on the fence, bro. You gotta lean one way or the other.
Yeah, spice it all over the place.
Yeah. And to be fair, Hoppe did that a lot this past week. Like you heard him on the video say, "Oh, I picked a draw for this one, so I'm gonna try and like mix it up for the Newcastle Tottenham game or like whatever it may have been." And it seems to be working out well. So long season.
I predicted Michael Keane to score as well. That was the only one I remember.
Bro,
that was nasty. If only ever hit him one. Oh,
bro,
great.
By the way, that game was fucking amazing. Just the end of it, right? Austin was freaking the fuck out in group chat.
I was dying.
Oh man, I'm telling you, Hoppin, I don't know how it's happening. You got to walk me through that one day when we have time. You got to walk me through how Sean Dyche's going to keep these lads up because
it's going to be magical. Don't worry.
I don't know how it's going to happen. And for those who are watching at home,
City without a point deduction.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Everton might be in trouble. And they should honestly be screaming from the fucking rafters about that appeal decision. But
100%.
Anyway, so everybody catches up. Match week 1 is not included in this, and there's only 10 games on everyone's record because we only preview 5 matches per week. Okay, so we preview 5 of the juiciest matchups every week, and that's what this record is indicative of. I need to pick my shit up. I'm at 3-7, but it could be worse. I could be Max. So, who is not here today, and I want to call suspect on that a little bit. Nature happens. I get it, right? Power might have gone out, whatever, but it is very suspect. The first week he's not available is when United get thrashed 3-0 by Liverpool. That game was interesting. I don't want to talk too much about it. A lot's been said already, but I think we can all agree that this is going to be an interesting season for United. I don't know what to expect. I feel like next year maybe might be a little more exciting for them. Max's shouts for United to win the title this season are probably far-fetched to say the least. But hey, who am I to talk shit?
Yeah, 2 losses and 1 win. Like it's over, bro.
yeah. That take is. We'll give him a chance to redeem himself. Maybe like roll that back if he wants to. But I don't know if his pride will let him. We'll find out. But yeah, man, these are our standings as of today. But let's get to the point of the video, why everybody's here. We'll move over to our tier list. This is how we're gonna do it in epic fashion today. These are our tiers, plain and simple. Nothing crazy about this, from A+ all the way to F. And again, honesty about how these teams have actually done their business in the window, regardless of course, what their team's form is, but also what their team's situation financially is, right? For one reason or another, teams may have been able to sell players or bring them in. Doesn't really matter. Just judge how they performed in the window, okay? We're going in alphabetical order, all right? So keep that in mind. We're going to start with Arsenal, right? Alphabetical order. So as the Arsenal fan in this room, I will say I'll put them where I had them before the Raheem Sterling move, because I think that one surprised me. Honestly, bro, a very lukewarm window. I'll be honest. To me, they were here. I think C is fair.
I was thinking B.
Well, I think the Sterling move moves them to B because it was the most glaring hole, right? Like somewhere in the attack, we had to level things up. Of course, we needed a left center mid. Of course, we needed a left back. Arsenal addressed those in the window, but I feel like in this window, we raised the floor more than the ceiling of this team. And that could be a good or bad thing. It really just depends on how Arteta wants this to work as the season moves on. But Calafiori, it may not even be our first choice left back. Mikel Merino, when healthy, I mean, his shoulder's fucked up now. I don't know what's going to happen.
Could survive one training session.
yeah, so we'll see. I expect him to be a level up to Thomas Partey, but I expect there to be rotation. I expect Jorginho to get minutes. I expect Partey to get minutes. I expect Merino to get minutes. I think Rice and Odegaard will be the 2 constants in that midfield 3. And Raheem Sterling also will likely not be the first choice winger on either side. I think Trossard, when push comes to shove, will be left. Saka will be right. And Raheem can play anywhere in that front 3.
You think Sterling would be in a similar situation as Reece Nelson, where fans would ask for rotation and expect it to come, but then Arteta never does it? Or you think now with Raheem Sterling, he's a bigger name than Reece Nelson, and yes, of course, more experience. You think he will get some decent minutes and give Saka some rest? Because I feel like it's the same situation, but just the name sounds cooler. I don't see Arteta thinking, okay, now I can rely on Raheem Sterling more than Reece Nelson. Where I think honestly at this point, ability and form and where they kind of sit in this Arsenal team is about the same spot.
Yeah.
So how do you see it as an Arsenal fan? You see it more so like, oh, I expect him to get more minutes. It's in the same situation. Saka will probably play 9.5 out of 10 times, so he will only come in here and there. Or do you think, oh no, we expect now some good rotation, some good competition?
I think there will be rotation, just not in the way everybody expects. I think right now there is some pressure building on Arteta to bring some kind of silverware home, right? So if it's another FA Cup, if it's a Carabao Cup, where we've in recent seasons exited early, those are moments where you want to be able to rotate Saka. You want to be able to rotate Martinelli. You want to be able to give those playmakers and potentially impact players on the bench a chance to prove that they can be rotated in the league. I think Arteta will give that to Sterling. I think he'll give an opportunity to be like, look, man, I know you're good enough. I've worked with you before at City. There's a reason we brought you here. There's a relationship, but I need you to prove to me that the last 2 years were a fluke, that with better talent around you, if we rotate you in, we're not going to drop a significant level on that side. And so I think he'll give Raheem the chance to do that in some of these cup matches. And if he does, then we'll see him rotate a little more in some of those league matches against, the relegation candidates, against some of those lower table sides where we need, in those stretches of games where we have, strong opponent after strong opponent, we'll need Saka to be able to just rotate, bro. At some point, he's been going for 3 or 4 seasons now. We got really lucky. I think we need to find a way to rotate him out. And I think Raheem is a low risk option to do that. Low risk because we know what he's going to give us at a minimum, right?
I performers now, because remember Reece Nelson had a good. He was had a good reputation via super sub. Got the winner against Bournemouth. I think the Eagle Eyes against Southampton, and not last season, but the season before.
I think he gets a lot of. I love him because he's a Hale End boy. I think he's someone who gets a lot of hype and praise from that Bournemouth winner. Like that was, I mean, that was crazy.
That kind of tests the bar for me now. So if Sterling comes in and really have an impact, it's like, okay, what's the point of paying 100K a week for him instead of having Reece Nelson on a bit lower salary, but of course more potential, more room to grow. So I think again the acquisition is still good. So I would bring it to D again, Premier League experienced winger. If you said this, come July you would be disappointed, but 2 weeks before the window, if I offered this to you, you would have taken it. So I think it was a good window overall for Arsenal. I don't think again it's quite enough to really make me think they're for sure gonna push City. I think they will push, but it's not like the X factor that we expected. X factor,
exactly.
The from
That's
the
exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, the X factor.
You're talking about.
Oh, go ahead, Austin.
I was just going to say you're just talking about a guy who wouldn't start on the wing at Leicester City. So,
bro, shut the fuck up, man. Yeah. He would 100% start, bro. 1000% start. What I will say though is that I think the X factor piece of it is like when I was like trying to in my head give a realistic grade for Arsenal is did they bridge the gap with City and like what is that gap? That gap is the X factor. Is that when Pep's tactics get stuck at City against a certain team, Haaland will show up. De Bruyne will show up. It'll be somebody on the pitch that just turns it on and is able to kind of will them to the victory. I think Arteta's maybe backing his system in those moments, or maybe thinks that the X factor in some of these players like Odegaard or Saka will show up as they continue to evolve. But we haven't, and granted, we only had one season of Champions League with these players, so I know in those moments, like it's Bayern, you and I talked about it a lot. It's like when Arteta's tactics were hitting a wall, they didn't have the X factor to like pick up the ball and do something with it, produce some magic, right? Like it didn't really happen. Madrid has more of those players. Real Madrid has more of those players than anybody in the world. City's kind of right up there with them. That's the gap between Arsenal and City. Is like who's going to turn up in those moments. And right now, I don't think we have that player just yet. Maybe as the season goes on, it will change. But right now, I think B has to be what it is. It's the highest I will put Arsenal from my perspective as a realistic.
Yeah, I agree.
Great. Yeah, perfect. All right, Bournemouth. Bournemouth did a lot of business this fucking window. A lot, man. I mean, whether it was bringing in Araujo, whether it was moving Neto on at the window, bringing Kepa in. I mean, there were a lot. Evan Nilsson, the big record-breaking signing from Bournemouth's perspective, which I didn't catch a ton of his minutes this past weekend. I don't know if you guys really did or not. I mean, I don't know if he stood out in any way, shape, or form. But that's a lot of money to spend. But anyway, how do you guys feel about Bournemouth? Like, realistically, where do you think they stack up with all the business they did?
I think it's important to note that, them smashing their transfer record has to be, somewhat taken into account. I think they're probably, I would say B or A as well, somewhere in that upper echelon. I wouldn't say A+, but again, they signed good players in key areas for them. I think, again, most importantly, losing Solanke and then not panicking, replacing him, bringing in someone that has talent and ability like Evan Nilsson, who did really well at Porto over the past 2 seasons. Of course, Julian Araujo as well, very good right back that just needs room to grow. Has had the greatest starts as of now, Julian, to be fair. But, in moving on, I question moving on Kepa for Neto. Is that really an upgrade?
Yeah.
We got to mention that Arsenal signed Neto as well. But
yeah,
is that really an update? I always rated Neto as like someone who is a good option off the bench from his time at Barcelona, what I've seen from him at Valencia, Juventus. I think he'll do well in that, kind of backup role at Arsenal. But he's also really a good starting keeper. He was the captain of Bournemouth as well. So, moving him on for Kepa, is that really an upgrade? I think that might be. We, of course, know Kepa is a goalkeeper that makes a lot of individual mistakes. So I think there's a lot of hits and miss. And I think the most important thing for them is that apart from Solanke, they did keep the majority of their squad. So I think a solid B. Maybe you could push it to an A.
Yeah, Sinistera in there too, by the way, right? Keep in mind, Ines Unal from Getafe is also in there as well. They brought in like a good amount of talent, and they moved certain guys on. Would you say the Solanke deal for $65 million is also some pretty damn good business?
It's stealing my books.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many teams are paying £65 million for Dominic Solanke.
Only Spurs. But
they did get $20+ million for Oliver Skip. So
hey. Yeah. We gotta bring in something. I mean, we're not at least United paying $80 million for Harry Maguire, but
fair.
I think I would put him in B or C. Just because I don't know what exactly they're going to get from all their signings. Like, I think they're going to be good, but I think there's also the possibility they all flop. Like, I agree with Hafid. I don't know about trading Kepa for Neto. Like, I'm okay with it B, but I think you can say see at some point because I think they only put their basket in Evan Nilsson. If he doesn't work out, then where's your goals coming from? And
Yeah.
they got lucky against the Everton team who can't figure it out, who are just absolutely god awful. But I just don't know about them yet.
Yeah. It's a lot of interesting pieces, but I will say this: they saved money where they could. They got a big sale with Solanke going out the door. They brought in a striker for 25 million pounds less than what was paid for Solanke, so they saved some money there and seem to spread out some of those funds pretty evenly across the pitch, right? Whether it's Sinisterra out as a winger, Araujo, which, like Hafid said, hasn't had the greatest start to Premier League life, but a good, somewhat proven right back. Kepa is the only question mark, I think, for me. Evan Nilsson, I think, he's not going to do what Solanke did last season, but I think that he probably will get closer to what Solanke has been for Bournemouth traditionally, right?
He just needs to be at like 12-ish goals.
Yeah, 12 to 15 goals. Yeah, nothing crazy.
Good.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he needs to go out and get 20 plus like Solanke did. That was a one-off that Bournemouth absolutely capitalized on, and I respect it. So let's leave him in B for now. I'm okay with this.
I think B is a good set for them, yeah.
Yeah, and we can always move things around if needed. So, all right, Villa.
This flies straight A?
Yeah, this has to be one of the ones in the window. Yeah. What would have made this an A plus?
A winger.
Yeah, I think a winger, and I think part of it might have been FFP, PSR, whatever the hell you call it. I just think they couldn't do too much, but I think Onana's. I mean, I know we don't want to talk about too much, but Onana's been incredible.
Yeah, 2 goals in the first 3 games.
Dude, United should have signed him. I'm sorry. United should have signed him over Ugarte.
And then they signed a couple pretty good players in Philogene and Mats and I just feel like they could have been an A plus that they maybe have more wiggle room to sign now with Champions League and they got to have a bigger squad. So I think they're going to struggle a little bit there, but I thought overall it was a pretty good window for the little amount of money that they had compared to past windows.
Mm-hmm. Also keeping a lot of their players after a fantastic season.
Yeah.
Only losing Diaby, who again was kind of in and out a little bit. And they made a profit on him after signing him last summer. Keeping the likes of Ollie Watkins, Debu in goal, important players for them that gave them the edge last season. Of course, they lost Douglas Luiz, but I think honestly they got an upgrade in Onana, and they got very good money for Luiz as well.
Yeah,
they're 2 different players. It's hard to compare them, but I'm comparing them more so to their importance to the team. So again, we're seeing how well Rogers is doing now at the start of the season. They kept Jacob Ramsey. They have John McGinn. They kept Yuri Tielemans. Their depth in the back line is very, very good as well. Pau Torres, Konza, Tyrone Mings. They have Luca Dean and Mattson at fullback. Yeah. So, and even up front, the Duran, who's done sensational. I think they hijacked the deal from West Ham, if I'm not mistaken. He's come off the bench and is getting big goals for them. So I think, again, they signed a true, like a good winger, like a Joao Felix they were rumored to have. Or maybe, again, they brought in Philogene, who I have not seen much from so far. But one more winger for them to kind of replace Diaby, I think that would have put him in A plus in my books.
Where was Philogene at? Was he at Hull City? Where was that?
He's at Hull, yeah. I think he was at Villa from before, and then he kind of went back now. So
were there Barca links with him at one point?
Yeah. But that was just his agent. Apparently, our agent just finessed the hell out of it.
Yeah, bro. I saw this man driving up to like different fucking training facilities, like all over Europe,
snapping pictures,
snapping pictures, like he's out there doing business. I'm like, man, well done. Marketing is marketing. I respect it. I know,
masterclass. Credit where it's due.
Yeah, bro, it worked out well. Okay, yeah, I agree. I think Villa had a crazy good window. I think I was kind of hesitant on some of the signings. I didn't know what Onana was going to do. I'll be honest, like he's someone that I wanted potentially like for Barca, because we needed a defensive mid, not because I felt like he was the best available option. But at the end of the day, like while there was question marks from my side, he has been a fantastic signing for Villa. And I can't help but think this is just the guy that United needed. I really believe that. Like we all saw what happened to Casemiro this past weekend. Ugarte might be the answer. I don't know. But I think if he's not, he will cost them the next 2 windows. I just believe Ugarte's signing is a huge question mark. PSG letting him go.
Share the screen.
Oh yeah, you're right. But talking about Onana and what he could have been for someone like United, Ugarte is someone that PSG moved on a year after they got him and United's paying roughly the same fee that PSG got him for. I just think it's weird. I don't know what that says about him as a player. Maybe he's too defensive. Maybe he's too aggressive. Maybe he didn't work for the French game. I don't know. But I rate him as a player. I just don't know if he's going to solve United's
It's
midfield.
the Ten Hag signing as well. He's the one who asked for him, right? So he didn't ask for Onana, he asked for Ugarte. Again, like you mentioned, a great point is that they were basically the same price. I think Aston Villa paid 60 up front. Ugarte is 50 plus 10. So it'll be interesting to see which one plays out well. But I've always rated Onana, and I think he's been brilliant for Aston Villa. And we'll see how he does for the rest of the season. But he's looking like he's going to be an important player for them.
Yeah, I think so. Man. We'll find out. Okay, let's move on to Brentford. Small, some business done. Some business.
What they do? I don't even know.
They didn't really do much.
Yeah, I mean, look, they honestly gave Liverpool a lifeline and bring in Fabio Carvalho. I thought that was probably the biggest signing they probably made. Sepp Vandenberg from Liverpool at 25
They signed that striker who did his had a huge injury, didn't they?
Yeah, Igor Thiago
from Bruges. Yeah.
And he's out for the season or something like that.
Yeah. It's crazy, bro. But they did also move some players on and made bank along the way, right? Like Ivan Toney finally kind of moving on, that saga coming to an end. By the way, his contract with Al Ahly is fucking wild.
Of course, if he's going there after in his prime in Saudi, he's going to be earning bank, isn't he? Let's be honest.
It's almost $1 million a week.
See, I heard it's the opposite. I heard it's like $250,000 a week. People were talking about $1 million per week, then people came in like shut it down recently. I think Sky Sports came out like a few hours ago saying like, look, he earns $57 million over the course of 4 years. So that'd be like about $250,000 a week, which is still ridiculous.
Still ridiculous. And for that caliber of a striker, not that he's bad, he's not world class though, and I just think that's kind of a crazy salary.
Spot on.
Yeah, the Raya move materialized officially, right, to Arsenal. But then they kind of moved on more than a few different kind of just one-off, no-name players to an extent.
They kept Wizen and Bumo as well, which I think is very important. Two of their big
very
players.
important. I think for who they are, this wasn't a bad window.
No,
like for who they are, probably like right up there, middle of the park. Like
I think
I would say C. I would say C.
I agree.
It's not up there with like Bournemouth, would you? Right? You wouldn't say that. Okay.
I think the acquisitions were Bournemouth. Bournemouth had good sales, good signings. Brentford I think had good sales and made okay signings. Like Cavallo, he's not even hasn't I think started any of the first 3 or 4 games. So that might be like end of the window where end of the season where you kind of look at it in hindsight.
Yeah,
but I think for now, based on
Cavallo could turn really good, and
he could.
But he could easily, because I know we were heavily linked to him, and Brentford just won it, but he could turn bad. I mean, you just never know with these young prodigies coming up
from top clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked. I saw he went on loan last season with Hull City. He looked decent. I say through Liverpool a lifeline. I don't think Liverpool knew what to do with him. I don't think Arne Slot was going to find a way to feature him. And he was going to go somewhere, right? It's just a matter of where.
There's so many players in that position as well. Supersly, Elliott, Curtis Jones. So he was going to get no minutes.
Exactly. So I think it worked out well, and I'm sure Liverpool appreciate the fee. All right, Brighton. I'll be honest, lads. This will probably up here.
Couldn't agree more.
Like, it's kind of crazy how much we talked about in the last episode, right? Like how much business Hertzler and that front office have been able to conduct in this summer window. That
almost last second though, which is a bit of a risky business.
Yeah.
We did our Premier League prediction video. I think they only signed like 2 or 3 players by then.
Yeah. So when you think about that, right, it's like, I mean, do you feel pretty confident that all of these guys are? Let's just assume they're all going to be pretty decent, like most Brighton signings are, right? They also moved Billy Gilmore on to Napoli. They also sent Barco on loan to Sevilla. Like, I think in and out, Dahoud officially made his deal, official with Frankfurt. So the Lana moved on to Southampton. There was like more than a few different players here that also exited the door and paved way for all of these signings. It sucks that O'Reilly got hurt right off the bat coming from Celtic, but still, man, I feel like they brought in was like 8 or 9 players.
9 good players with good, potential for good prices as well. They've definitely leveled up their squad from last season that finished, what was it, mid-table with Deserbi, like 10-9, somewhere like that.
Yeah.
So it's a phenomenal window. I really rate the signing of Mads Pfeiffer as well from Feyenoord. That was, I think, a great acquisition. The Turkish left back they signed near the end as well.
Yeah,
he looks like a hell of a,
he looks
like a hell of a player too. So they've done really well. They kind of They've
stole him from Newcastle, by the way. It's kind of crazy because Newcastle could have used someone like Minte.
They just basically took every single decent prospect in there and for good prices and let's just develop them. They want to basically be the Dortmund of England.
Yeah, that's a good shout. That's a really good shout.
And I think Reuter's really going to turn out well, and I think that's going to help João Pedro a lot.
Yeah,
and I think that was their best signing was signing Reuter.
Yeah, Great window. Great business done by Brighton. It should, but then again, right, it also just increases pressure on Hertzler in his first season in the Prem, who, by the way, had a really interesting post match press conference where I don't know if you guys saw it, but he just wholly backed the decisions made by the referees in that game. It kind of led me to believe it's like, brother, you haven't been in this league long enough yet. You haven't been fucked over by VAR or the referees or PG Mold just yet. Just wait before you jump fully into like.
Let's get on their nice side first, you know.
Exactly. I mean, it's fair. I see what he's doing, but I'm like, listen, man, I'm telling you, like, it's going to happen, not when, if. Just remember that, right? Like I think he almost got like confrontational with some of the journos. But anyway, neither here nor there. Chelsea, this one, I'm curious for y'all's take.
I low key think they're an A. If I'm being honest, we're just judging
it based. Nah.
If we're judging, listen, we're judging it based on
B.
just ins and outs, right? They
Ins
brought
and outs, yes, but look, think about objectives, right? When you move into a window as a club, what was Chelsea's objective in this window?
I don't know.
Do we ever know what Chelsea?
You just said judge the ins and outs, nothing behind it. So I think
true. But you usually there's some method to the madness, right? Like you're making these transfers for a reason. Like we talked about Onana filling a gap by Douglas Luiz. That's a perfect transfer, great business. I think with Chelsea, in my opinion, going in the window, despite some of the holes they were trying to fill, they didn't fill the one glaring hole they had. Like where the hell is Osimhen? Where's that striker that's going to allow all these young pieces behind it to work?
They tried to do it on deadline day as well. But I just feel like they brought in good players, first of all, even though, where they fit, whatever, that's not my problem. Thank God I'm not a Chelsea fan. But also their sales were really good. Getting rid of Lukaku for 30 million, getting some money for him. Sterling last second as well. They might get rid of, the still left windows open as of recording this video. They might get rid of a few more players as well. I think their depth in the front line is disgusting. I think their midfield is strong. Their back line is, somewhat reliable. And now you're seeing Fofana 4 games after his, double ACL tear, he's getting called up to France. That's how good he's been so far. Goalkeeper situation, they have 2 good, really goalkeepers, even though Sanchez has a mistake in him and, Enzo is, backing him. So fair enough to him. 2 good, the fullbacks are really strong as well. So, I mean, again, where they fit, who's coming in, the prices wise, not really my prerogative, and thank God it's not. But in terms of, players in, players out, I think they've had a really good window.
I mean,
okay, I'll agree with most of that, but go ahead, Austin.
If you look at it, they really only spent 30 mil.
Yeah.
Like
he's not the Chelsea fans on the timeline, right? It's like technically net spend really wasn't that high.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of nuts.
And their squad, I think, is the most important
thing. Money than them. No one sold more money than them. So
the most important thing in my book is that their squad has improved from last season, which is the whole point of the transfer window, right? So from the squad that ended, what was it, like 6th at the last second?
But if you don't address your most glaring hole, was it a W of a window?
I mean, they obviously like Nico Jackson. They just extended him for 9 years.
Nicholas Jackson.
I think Nico's a good player. He is. He's a good player, not a good finisher.
Yeah, but they also, I mean, who do they have behind him?
They have, Nkunku who can play there, Mark Yu, Joel Phillips can play there. Like
Palmer,
their depth is.
Yeah. Oh, it's nuts.
In the center
okay. So just to pick that apart, Mark Yu not an option in my opinion because he's not experienced enough. And Nkunku is the attacking version of Reece James. He'll get hurt again. And who's Joao Felix, who in my opinion, he had some moments at Barcelona last season, and as a fan, that's awesome. He's probably up there in terms of like one of the more overrated players in the game right now. Like he just is. I
think he's fairly rated. I think again he's just I don't know why he is, and this will come I think in handy for Chelsea. He's just a big game player, and that's it. Immediately, like when Chelsea play Brighton or a West Ham or Newcastle, he won't turn up. When they play against the Wolves and Ipswich, he might come and score a goal or two. But I don't know what's wrong with him, but against United City and Arsenal stuff like that, he'll come and he'll perform for some sort of reason. But it's not even that. I think Pedro Neto, he's one of the best wingers in the Premier League. Yes, like you mentioned, fitness-wise, it's a gamble like the rest of them, but for a good price as well. I think Arsenal would you have taken Neto for 50 million compared to a Sterling or who else was there like options out there? I can't remember, but I think Neto signing for Arsenal that would I think really would have bridged the gap between City. Again, I'm talking personnel-wise, forget the prices and stuff like that. Sure. So that's how I judged it. I think their squad has definitely improved, and again, based on the whole circus and the videos of them training in their gyms with about 50,000 people in it, it's kind of over now. So I think again they've improved. The net spend has been good. They've brought in good players, not like Brighton where there's a lot of talent and wait and see. We're kind of basically seeing how they gel and if they can stay fit. I think they're A or B somewhere around there. I'm not saying that they're solely.
And we're forgetting Sancho.
Sancho as well. Yeah,
it doesn't make sense. It just
it
doesn't.
doesn't. But
It doesn't make sense.
25 million for a
even
good
the
player?
Sterling deal doesn't make sense, bro. Like why would you get rid? I mean, I understand Sterling, but why would you let him go out on loan and pay over 2/3 of his salary?
I think again, it comes down to last second. What's better, paying his full salary he gets on the bench, or sending him to Arsenal paying half?
You're
That's
right.
Like last second thing, right? This is the
yeah.
Same thing with
You're
Barcelona.
right.
We saw with them as well with Gundogan. What's better, keeping him and having him as a good accent, or clearing the wages and making space for other players? It's all based on situations and how they assess it. That's why I want to give them credit, because again, they got rid of Sterling last second. They decided, what was it? The second home game where he just left out of the squad, and a week later they found him a move where they saved salary. I think that's hard to do.
Yeah, so it is. I just feel like it makes them look weak. And that's why I feel like Chelsea somewhat got exposed in this window, while at the same time not addressing a very, again, blatant hole on the roster, which to me is the 9. I think Nico Jackson, and maybe you could say some of these other pieces in an ideal world could work. I just don't see it based on their recent histories. Like, it could work on the one-off occasion. I just don't think I don't think Maresca's going to find the guy up top that he can reliably count on game in and game out this season. I don't think he'll have that. And that's a miss when you consider that Chelsea signed like 20 fucking players in this window. Like, that's a huge miss. Huge miss.
Yeah.
Austin, anything else?
Yeah, and I mean, and I think some of their guys out they might miss. Like, I mean, like could have kept Lukaku. There's your striker. I mean, I know he wanted out, and that was kind of always happening. Matson looks really good.
Matson looked really good, yeah.
And Omari Hutchinson at Ipswich looks really good. Like but again, like Hutchinson's a winger, and they got 80,000 of them. So it's like, but I don't know. It's just I think the biggest thing with Chelsea is seeing 10 years where they're at. Because the last 3 to 4 years, it's just madness.
I just think that they got caught with their pants down. That's literally it, bro. Like
Bailey just wants to spend money. That's all he wants to do.
Yeah.
Show that he cares.
Yeah. And I get it. Like, we get that you're ready to spend. There's got to be some strategy behind it. And that, to me, factors in a little bit to like how I rate these teams. I had them, Chelsea, personally in my C, but I'll move them to B. Like I don't mind settling.
I think B's a good spot.
Yeah, I think so too. Palace.
C.
Really? They brought in some good players.
But didn't they? I mean, look, who did they let go of?
The Anderson.
Nah, Austin, you don't know about Chad Riyad, man. I'm telling you.
He's been one of the most consistent players, bro. I mean, it's still a loss.
Laurent, the French center back from Wolfsburg as well. Lacroix, really good acquisition as well.
Lacroix.
So I think they've lost players, but brought in players that are like at the same level, except for Elise, of course. And they're keeping Eze big as well, even though the Crystal Palace owner came out saying that no one showed interest in Eze, which again I'm not surprised about whatsoever as well.
We've talked about it, bro. We talked about it. Yeah,
he's just. I don't think anyone really needs him at this. That's higher than Crystal Palace. That's why there's no interest. I think again he's not really that kind of player as well. I think he's perfectly fine at Palace. But yeah, I think they made some good acquisitions and also keeping the better of their player. They decided to sell Anderson, even though he was really good for them, really reliable, consistent for the past 2 seasons. But bringing in Kamada on a free transfer as well. The 2 center backs, of course. I think
Turner, bro.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Honestly, they kind of level down there a little bit, right? John Stone left to Wolves, and they kind of leveled down a little bit with Matt Turner, but it's a backup situation, so it's fine.
I would really consider them like a low B, honestly.
I at least feel like a little bit like Bournemouth. I think it's a little bit of wait and see, because like Chalobah's never really gotten time. You don't know how Lacroix is gonna move to the Premier League.
I think Lacroix
he's
a good center back.
Is decent, but
he's gonna throw around a lot.
It's gonna be hard to fill Elise. Definitely keeping Gahey and Eze definitely helps, because if they would have lost them or not really replaced them, then we're talking different. But I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit of 50-50. Like I don't know how it's going to go. We thought they would be a dark horse to be really good, and they've not been great so far. But I know we're not talking about that. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think like there's no direct replacement to Elise, and it creates a question mark for me.
It's like the generational player for Crystal Palace at the end of the day.
That's true. That's true. I'm not saying he's not. It's just it's difficult to replace those guys, right? But nonetheless, like it doesn't feel like they actually replaced him. It feels like they offered someone who will just raise the floor a little bit. And that's fine for who Palace is. I'm not mad at that. Kamada will probably come good. Sarr at some point will probably be at least worth the 10-11 million they paid for him. I think Lacroix was a great signing. I think Eddie and Nketiah, also a pretty decent signing. if he's
I mean,
directly
yes,
replacing,
yeah, bro, they gotta be beat. Surely they gotta be beat. They made like again for their level for what you expect from Crystal Palace. They're making great acquisitions for good prices as well. You know, experienced players that know the Premier League. I think Saw for 20 million, Etienne for 20 million, Chadri for 10 million to field century, 20 million for LaCroix as well, Kamada for free. They're bringing in quality players that I think again are. If you look at just player profile wise, I would say they should be playing maybe a bit above the level of Crystal Palace. So convincing them to join is also very important as well.
yeah.
And again, I think they've done well to balance their squad with losing one of their key players in Elise.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll definitely give you that. I think it's
And they
go ahead.
They did lose, like they lost to Edouard. So Nketiah, like does Nketiah go to their starting striker?
No,
they don't have Edouard.
Not sure, but it's Bateta. He's gonna come to the Han Jose again.
But it's like, I mean, 25 mil for a backup striker.
I think Glass.
I think they play. Yeah, they play with two strikers a lot.
Yeah, they do. They play with two a lot, and it's in certain scenarios. Mateta's not always the best option. I think depending on what you need, Nketiah could fill right in. And I like what Hoffett said. Right, it's like he didn't go outside of the Premier League to find someone to take a risk on. He actually found a Premier League proven forward who knows how to lead a line in this league. I think it's a good signing. It's just not one that takes you over the top. But we're talking about Palace here. We're not talking about Chelsea or Spurs or United or anybody else. So it's a pretty good window. I think they should be performing better than they are. But again, different argument for different time. Let's leave them here for now. I think B. If we gave Chelsea a B, I'm fine with giving Palace a B. To be honest.
Yeah.
All right, Everton.
Who the hell did they sign?
Bro. Honestly, man, I'm really inclined to drop the D and fucking move on.
They signed that DI guy.
Okay, look, they renewed the loan of Jack Harrison, right? I remember some Jake O'Brien, something like that from Lyon that they brought in for like 15, 20 million, something like that. The NDI guy, like you just mentioned from Marseille.
Yeah.
Broya is a loan. I don't know if he's going to be a permanent deal, but either way,
I think it's an obligation, but it could be an option.
I think it's an option. It was an obligation for Ipswich if they stayed up. I think with everything just off. I mean, they signed a decent striker. That's pretty much it. If you're being honest.
Yeah.
So I think DC ish, probably D, because you expect Everton to do a bit more with their stature. They should have won and got Victor Roque. That would have been a great signing for them.
I mean, they brought back Asmir Begovic. Like they did
bring back Begovic, but they did not directly address.
Begovic started over Pickford. Come on now.
Yeah, but they didn't directly address the Onana departure, and maybe some of that's due to like PSR and like the new.
Brandtwaite.
I think that's got a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know who. Were we gonna say about Brandtwaite?
I think they kept Brandtwaite, so that's something.
Yeah, it's true. But that's not transfer business, really, right? It's like, I mean, it is.
Yeah, we talked about Crystal Palace keeping Eze, Brentford, keeping in Bumbu, and was they were just the big bids. They were getting some big bids.
There's a skill in that.
I'm
going to keep them here because it really hasn't been great.
Yeah.
They really tried to get Trippier. That would have helped them a lot.
Yeah,
that would have been interesting actually. Imagine him replacing Seamus Coleman. That'd be maybe he could play the left. I don't know. But Mikolenko's there. No, it really would have to be to replace Coleman, who's a little bit older.
The state of Everton is completely different. Hour-long video right now.
That's all good.
Fair enough. Southampton.
Who the hell did they sign? Brenton Diaz, and that's it?
Hey, bro, Brenton Diaz, man, he had a couple clutch goals last season. I think
fake Chilean. Come on, let's be honest.
He's not fake Chilean. There's no Spanish, bro.
I mean,
he's part of the new gen. The new gen.
They brought in Ramsdale, which is going to help.
That's probably their marquee signing.
Yeah, Fraser, Lallana. They basically just bought back their old youth team.
Yeah, they just reverted.
The guy at the same level as Everton, surely.
I don't
think they've done enough to be. Yeah, Cornell Love West Ham.
Yeah. I mean, I think
it's bad.
It sounds just like Everton.
It does, bro.
I think it's better than Everton's.
Do you?
If you feel better, I'll make that switch. But like,
a lot of the same crap,
I mean, they just came up from the championship. You can't expect.
Exactly. Although Ipswich had a much different window. We'll get to them here in a second.
Yeah.
But outside of that one team, I agree. It's kind of just staying low key and trying to make your core players work together. All right, Fulham, or should I call them Arsenal Light or the Hale End Boys Light? Fulham, I think, is like here.
I was gonna push them up to B.
Actually, B might actually. Now that I think about it, B might be a little bit better.
I was gonna say B as well.
I'm putting ahead of Chelsea, bro. I'll be dead ass. I think Fulham actually, like no bullshit. I think Fulham, to me, outside of the fact that yes, ESR, I hope his career is revived at Fulham. I really do. I wish him nothing but the best. I don't really like the Craven Cottage crowd all that much, but nothing really against that team as a whole, and I hope he does well there. Nelson was alone from Arsenal. That's a great move. I think the Sander Berg move, considering how his name was being thrown around a little bit in the last couple weeks of the window, that materializing for Fulham was good. Was there a fee for Sessegnon? Does anybody know from Tottenham?
No, I keep for free.
I think it was free.
Really?
Which is
oh
good.
shit! Okay,
yeah,
another good move. I think for who they are, and like I don't really rate Cuenca all that much from Villarreal, but I still think it's a decent depth adding deal.
I'll take the selling clause.
Yeah,
and I think for losing Polina, I think Sander Berg is a pretty decent replacement.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Premier League experience.
ESR, I think. Yeah, ESR's got Premier League experience. Anderson's got Premier League experience.
Nelson's they have good depth. At the end of the day, they definitely improved their squad from last season.
They didn't lose too much. I mean, yeah, they lost Polina, but
but that was inevitable, right? So apart from that, they kept everyone else.
No, Decordova Reed went to Leicester. Tim Ream went to MLS, but Tim Ream's like almost 40, so it is what it is.
Finally,
I kept everyone else. I mean, they're good players,
bro. Decordova Reed's not bad. He's starting on Leicester.
They lost Decordova Reed, but they got Smith Rowe. So
yes, fair point. They leveled up. I will say that. So they definitely got better, and there's no excuse for Marco Silva to not make good use of these players and his new team. So bro, I like B. Yeah, he has so far. I like B. Ipswich Town had a lot of signings.
I'll tell you what, if they brought in Broya and Nelson on loan, they would be like a C in my book.
Really?
Yeah, but I put them at D because again, they did when you come up in the championship.
D is kind of low. D's kind of low, bro.
Okay, maybe like low C, but like they didn't do enough for me to really push them to stay whatsoever because they didn't sign any experience whatsoever. They signed Omari Hutchinson. They brought in
Liam Delap,
really from City,
who kind of has a little bit of experience, right? Because he's a young player. The role Calvin Phillips,
Sammy Smodics, who won the Golden Boot in the championship by a mile last season.
Oh, that's right. Where did he play? Was he Blackburn?
Blackburn.
Yeah. I don't know much about O'Shea from Burnley either.
They needed more of the Calvin Phillips to me. That's why I said they got the loan of Nelson and Broya. Yeah. I think they would be like, okay, now we're talking. But I think they're still missing a few. I think they're still missing a little something.
Lacking a keeper a little bit. They got Murray.
But you think about the business side of it, right?
Like, yeah, I mean it's input. Like,
yeah, it's going to be hard for them to fill all the holes. But dude, look at what they did compared to like Burnley last season or even Sheffield last season. Like they did next to nothing, and at least it's like this they're trying to stay up.
Yeah, like Ipswich is like the fun team to root for. Like they're like Luton, that you're just hoping they stay up. They're fun to watch. Like they're going to play really fun. And I thought
McKenna. Yes, we could count that as something.
Yeah, I mean they got a good they've had a good start. And they've brought a lot of guys from the championship that I think if they do go down, I think they at least have a shot to come to be a yo-yo team, which is better than they have been. So I thought it was decent for them.
This is the lowest I would put them, to be honest, is right here.
That's fair. I think that's actually good. I'll consider that a good spot for them. I don't think they've done enough to get into a B. Again, Broya and Nelson, you're touching like mid B, I think.
All right, fair enough. We'll keep them there, right? And look, we always shift things around as the video goes on. Leicester City.
Austin, take the floor. I'm gonna sit here in silence.
Austin, let's be real, bro. Let's be real.
I'm gonna say D. I think Buonanotte is gonna be good. El Canus, we'll see. He worries me a little bit with his attitude. But like Skip at least looked okay. Like he's a decent Premier League midfielder. He's better than anything we had. Bobby Decordova Reed and IU have been there, so it at least gives us a little bit of experience. Now, granted, it's another PSR situation, and we thought we might get a point deduction, so that went against us. We had a lot of guys we wanted but didn't want to come because of that. So, like, it's all like I give it a D.
Edward from Crystal Palace.
Yeah, we brought in
Edward. Yeah,
he won't be ready for another 2 weeks because someone with the contract, it's weird. So to at least give him time to get used to the squad. But I think it's an okay, like for us, for the situation, like it's okay.
Yeah.
I think we can stay up.
The issue is not so much the signings and like, you guys being a relegation side. It's also like who you let go of, right? Like, releasing Iheanacho. I think
that needed to happen.
It did fine, right? Yeah. But letting go of your best player in Dewsbury Hall, I think was tough. It would have been great to keep him for this season. Maybe it's a PSR move.
Ndidi, though? on a new deal.
Oh no, we signed him to a 3-year extension.
Yeah, so keeping Ndidi.
But we're not talking about new extensions in this video, or we'd be at an F with that one. Like, he's not going to start. At least he shouldn't start.
But at least he's there till he's 36, so that's kind of cool.
Yep, that always helps us. We should have sold him 5 years ago.
Bro, it's just
We
a
really got,
wild,
like,
it's a
50
wild
more.
extension. It's a wild extension. That man's agent
Yeah.
deserves an applause and maybe even like a slight raise from Ndidi's side.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's
KDH
just
was
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once
It's
Enzo
so hard to
left,
grade
it was always kind of in the cards that Kieran was going to leave. So
Yeah.
it was expected.
Yeah. Yeah, D's probably fair. And this is not to say let's say it's a bad team by any means. I think that we all feel like they will stay up now, especially with the latest news today. But I still think that it's like it's just so hard to be. I imagine you're not super excited about, or you weren't super excited leaving the transfer window in terms of where the team is. I think the team still has some pretty apparent holes, especially defensively, but still not a bad window, just considering all the obstacles you guys had to overcome while this window was in play, right? You didn't know if the point deduction would come through or not, or go your way as far as the appeal goes. So if this had come like a week earlier, bro, the last week of the window could have been fire for you guys.
Yeah, but the bad thing is we just don't have a lot of room, even for the winter. We're not going to have a lot of room to spend unless we have a big outgoing. So, we did sign Fatawu on a full deal, so that was positive.
Yeah, made it a permanent deal.
He is raw as hell, but if he's on, he's really, really good.
I like that.
But he's going to get found out a lot.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. Liverpool.
Thinking like C or B, Chiesa, and that's pretty much it. Marvel just really ain't coming in until next year, right?
That's where I had them. That's where I had them.
Their squad, we're judging it based on the window.
On the window. The squad is good. The squad is good.
Yeah.
But again, just like with Chelsea, this is why I had Chelsea and Liverpool a little bit lower. It's just they did not address the most blatant hole on their fucking side, which is
still playing McAllister as a pivot, which is wild.
Yeah, it's such a waste of resources, man. And the fact that they prioritized a winger and a keeper ahead of a defensive midfielder.
I don't think they prioritized it, man. I think they just saw two market opportunities. I don't even think they came into this window to say, yeah, we want Chiesa and Marbushvili. I think they saw Marbushvili in the Euro, looked at his situation. Allison's, getting on.
Low
take advantage
risk.
of that.
Yeah.
1 week before the transfer window ends with Chiesa. He's cheap, good winger, some good depth. Why not? Let's take the gamble. Of course, they tried to get Zubimendi. They couldn't convince him because he's from the Basque country, and those motherfuckers they ain't leaving for a very, very long time. So yeah, I don't even remember who they were mainly linked with. I think they were pretty quiet up until like mid-July when they tried to get Zubimendi, and that was pretty much it. So I think high D is it's a good stance for them because Chiesa should be a gamble, and then the other signing can come until next year.
True. All right, Manchester City. This is where I had them.
Yeah, I think Gundogan just really pushed them over the edge as a free transfer.
Yeah. They were kind of a B with just only addressing Savinho and then letting, of course, if you are a person in the audience who rates Julian, right, like tremendously, not directly replacing him, I think maybe a concern to you. For me, it's like they probably have other players that can offer what he offers. Even if somehow Haaland had to deal with an injury, I still think like Pep would find a way to make it work with the players that he has. I think the signing Gundo for a free in a year where you probably are going to need a little more depth in the midfield, he's so proven, so experienced, it makes sense.
And then those attacking midfielders like Bernardo and Foden can be free and play more forward than playing that kind of a bit deeper role where now Gundogan can come in and supply that. So, but Tayson Nunes is doing really well as well. I don't know what the hell is going on with him. He's had a good start to the season as well.
Saw an opportunity, bro. In all honesty, Kovacic was out. Rodri's out right now. Like you just saw an opportunity, and maybe Pep signs Gundo. It's like shit. I gotta step up, bro. Ain't no way I can just get completely replaced like that. Yeah. So I don't know. I still think even with the Savio deal, it was probably here in B. I just feel like the Gundo deal took it over the top.
Fully agree. Again, you have to remember today they already got a completed squad, so them signing players and making that difference is important. So I think Savio is a ridiculously good signing for the price. Then he's going to tear up the Premier League. You're looking like a little bit of a Brazilian Mahrez from what I've seen so far. He got the number as well, so I think he'll be a good. They've had a really, really good window.
Yeah, I think so too. But not A+ solely because I just think that like other teams, only because a couple of teams perform better in the market. That's really it, and they had more holes to fill. So it's kind of mission impossible anyway. Manchester United.
Surely just behind City.
Yeah, that's honestly this is where I had them. Wasn't A. It's a good window. It doesn't mean that it's going to fix all their issues. It just doesn't, and it needs time to get there.
I think again they've done it quickly. They didn't overspend, and they paid a reasonable price for everything. I think the only thing I would criticize about them is, trying to negotiate a month to try and get Ugarte for cheaper, and then end up paying what PSG wanted. So they could have got him at least a month earlier. apart from that, I think Lenny Yoro for 60, but probably a bit high for someone with 1 year left on their deal. To be honest, for his age and stuff like that. Like I wouldn't even ask that. I would probably ask that for Arujo or Frankie.
Yeah, but the Madrid thing, they were gonna get them on their own time. Like you have to compete with them in some way.
Sales as well was really good. Getting 30 minutes for McTominay is a fucking unreal.
Yeah.
Wan-Bissaka for around 20 was good as well. Letting
Got
go
rid
of
of
Varane.
Sancho.
Got rid of Sancho as well.
Sancho's done. Greenwood's done. Those sagas are over.
Martial.
Yeah. And now this is Ten Hag's team. You know, like this is his team. They spent over $500 million on it, but this is his team. And now, like, there won't really be an excuse. United fans will hold him accountable, I think. I think it'll take time to get there, right? But this was a very good window from the sense of addressing very blatant holes in the market or simply removing distractions from the locker room.
Like I mentioned in another video, again, acting quickly, I think is really important for me. We saw how Arsenal changed that kind of mold as well when they started bringing, Xhaka and Mbemi, because Arsenal always stay away to the last second. Same with United, to be honest, but then bringing him early. But the litmus is why we're a bit late, but Lenny Yoro coming in at good times, Xerxes as well. So I think overall acquisition wise for prices and stuff like that's been a good window.
I agree. All right, Newcastle.
Who the hell did they sign?
That's where I put them. That's exactly where I put them. Signed nobody. PSR was a major issue. I think they announced Hall as like a new signing, but he was already there.
We have to give a bit of credit as well for them keeping their players as well. So Bruno Guimaraes staying, Isaac staying. We all thought they were going to leave, remember? So
yeah, true. But I just like
they're still F, but little shout out to them.
Like if Lloyd Kelly coming on a free from Bournemouth is like your idea of a good signing, then fine. Maybe they had a better window. It was so boring if you're a Newcastle fan. Like you must have the worst sense of FOMO ever watching all these other teams make signings. I don't know.
Again, their squad was already pretty good. Again, the reason why they suffered last season was injuries, so they just keep everyone semi-fit. We saw Harvey Barnes now finally fit, got a goal the other day against Tottenham as well. So he just stays fit. They'll be a good option for them. So.
Yeah, but they lose Minte, they lose Frazier. I don't know. It's just like you have to think about the outgoings too. It's like I think they might have legitimately got slightly.
Did Callum Wilson stay?
Yeah.
So they really.
I was hoping he was gonna. I was hoping he was gonna go. Yeah, he's probably gonna get hurt again. I was hoping he was gonna go
stayed as well. He didn't get any move to Sydney or MLS.
I was hoping he went back to Bournemouth.
Really?
Just to help them out at striker.
Yeah, that could have been a cool move too.
But.
All right. I honestly, I don't think anybody can force me off of Newcastle. It's just unfortunate with PSR. They literally not only did they get rid of players and not hardly bring anybody in, they actually lost or sold 2 owners' shares. And
the weird face in her husband or whatever.
Yeah.
Amanda. I think
Amanda Stavely. Yeah. So they were forced to sell just due to PSR and kind of had to move on. I think they were looking at Tottenham as their next venture opportunity. That'll be interesting. Nice, we'll see. Maybe that'll force them to stop being so Spursy. Nottingham Forest. This one's tricky.
Signed.
This one's very.
They signed James Ward-Prowse. That's probably their best.
That's a great deal. I love me some JWP.
That was their best. But I mean, I would say they're either maybe. They're probably.
I would say Milinkovic is also a pretty good signing at center back.
Yeah, Elliot Anderson isn't bad.
Yeah, Fiorentina.
I mean, it's kind of.
They didn't sign a striker though.
But it's Forest, though, bro.
But like, how is Forest's window better than Southampton, Everton? That's how I'm seeing it, right? Because I see them all at similar levels, all going to be fighting relegation. Have they done enough to be better than Southampton and Everton, like a tier better?
I think so.
Here's why: 3-4 players. Elliot Anderson from Newcastle, which I don't know how that player went for £35 million. I still feel yeah, I guess. JWP was good. They got Morato from Benfica. Interesting. Milinkovic is he's not Premier League proven, but we've seen him at the international stage, and we've seen him with Fiorentina. If you're watching Serie A, I still think though,
still need a striker.
Yeah, Carmo from Porto as a center back and Alex Moreno as an outside back are interesting. So.
I'll accept it. I
think to me it's up there with Brentford. In my opinion, if I had to compare it. So
I'll take it.
Spurs.
Probably the same area, no? Solanke and that.
It depends on how you rate Solanke. If we're being honest, a lot of people felt like that was the last big hole for Spurs.
They went very young with their signings. Like they brought in Archie Gray, who looked really good at Leeds last year, but
like fucking 50 million or something. Man.
Yeah, 50 mil is a lot.
This is why it's hard for big clubs to sell, man. Look at this shit. Like, they're just buying random talent for like 60, 50 million, just inflating the market.
Yeah.
So like for 70 million, I still think that's I think I was looking for like 40. I'll put them in B. No, keep them in C. Get them down there.
I would
70
say,
million for
I
Solanke.
would say upper C.
I think Solanke is the most expensive transfer this window, is he not? Him and Julian Alvarez?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah.
70 million for Dominic Solanke.
I mean, bro, he had almost 30 goals last season. But
Nah,
I
that
see what
just
you're saying. I
smells
see what you're
English
saying.
tax. That's
Yeah.
English tax.
I agree. I don't think any team outside the Premier
Look
League
at
would have
Dobik, by the way. Hasn't even scored for Roma yet. I'm telling you, man. These strikers that you get after one good season, how are
Hey,
you dropping this much on them?
Sorloth has been somewhat decent for Atleti. Like I think
He's been all right.
when you
But
watch
30
him,
million for him,
it's
so
good.
I can handle that.
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. Yeah. And they're still trying to figure out how to make it work between him and Julian. But
Mhm.
okay, I think Spurs, yes, a lot of young talent, but in my opinion, they didn't have too many blatant holes to fill. It really was striker and
Dragulski will be a new sign for them. He came in January, so he's going to be
true.
New signing.
I mean,
And I know
anybody's better
Solanke's
than
fee is kind of
Richarlison.
wild, but like the striker market really is kind of shit. Like it's just not great.
Yeah.
You know?
Honestly,
And
that's a great point.
Yeah.
But-
So,
He's better.
you know,
He's better than Richarlison. So
yeah,
that bar's pretty
like,
low though. That bar's
70
pretty
million
low.
though.
I mean, if he
We're
can't
talking
get
about the most.
much more-
He's the most expensive Premier League signing this past summer,
Mhm.
unless we're missing someone.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, it makes sense that the striker market's not great. It's just not great as far as clinical strikers, not these fucking link up merchants who, you know, the Gabby Jesus of the world. I love Gabby Jesus as an Arsenal fan, but at the end of the day, like what he does best is actually just be a footballer. It's not be a goal scorer.
Mhm.
So anyway, I digress. West Ham guys,
Are we thinking like behind United? Or, yeah. Are you putting A plus? Ooh.
for me,
I think A+.
this fucking team's up here, bro. I think they had a fantastic window, bro. They're my surprise team of the year. Like,
Yeah,
I really feel like they leveled up. They leveled up tremendously across the board. And
Tadibo for 40, Kilsman for 40, Guedo Rodriguez on a free, Fulkrug.
they added Carlos Soler at the very last second for
Yes,
PSG.
Sinistera.
Bro, I mean,
Keeping kudos to
Somerville.
Paqueta. We don't know how long Paqueta's gonna last, but you know he's still playing so far. So
yeah, bro, Wan-Bissaka for less than 20 million.
Wan-Bissaka. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it moved me. I think
And
an A plus year is looking kind of nice.
Yeah, bro, I'm telling you,
And they
man,
got rid of-
it's a good deal.
And they got rid of James Ward-Prowse, who I don't think fit into
I should have kept him, man.
Lopetegui's
Yeah,
What a player.
system.
I kind of
Signing Guedo, keeping Guedo and bidding JWP is a bit of a sus move. I'm not gonna lie, but
Yeah.
I think
But
they're signing
to
at the
me,
top.
if JWP is not starting over Thomas Suchek at that position, then
Yo,
there
people
must be
sleep on
something off
Suchek, you know.
between.
honestly, I kind of slept on him a little bit. I
He's a
saw
low-key
his goal
baller.
over the
I
weekend,
did,
bro.
but
Yeah, he's
turned
kind of
out
balling
really
right now.
well. So
Look what he's done
Lopetegui
at
saw
West Ham.
something.
Yeah.
No, it was not David Boyes that signed Socek. No, like a January transfer window, something like that.
I don't
Yeah.
know if he was the manager that brought him in. I have no
I
idea.
think he was. Like
I think it was Moist.
from like Red Star Belgrade, like out of nowhere. I remember him
Slavia
in the Champions League
Prague.
playing Slavia Prague, something like that. Something weird.
Yeah, he smoked us
Crazy.
in the
That's how
the Europa League.
knows. All right.
Him and,
Yeah.
Kupal. Yeah.
Yes.
They got him
yes,
together.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, they got him together. I remember that. Yeah. And I think that and there was like, I don't know if it was them or someone else. I don't know if it was them or Villa. Somebody signed a Red Star Belgrade player. It might have been Villa actually. This past January window that they won't have until next season. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day,
think
West
it's
Ham to me, yeah, it
something
probably
like
is. I can't
Yeah.
remember his name. But I think that West Ham and Brighton to me have had the two best windows of any team in this league.
I would
It
agree.
just-
I think that top
yeah.
5 is rock solid.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's kind of crazy how well they moved in the window, which again puts more pressure on Lopetegui. And finally, Wolves. This one's tough, man.
Who they signed?
They honestly didn't have much choice. They kind of had to
I
let
would
go
say
of players.
Thieves because of who they got rid of.
Yeah, they
I was,
kind of had to
I
let
was
go
thinking
of
F. I
players.
don't remember who they signed
We could put them in F if we really feel that way. I mean,
I'm
look,
because
okay with
Newcastle
that.
did nothing, right? So they're F. So did
Yeah.
Wolves do anything?
so
They sold
look,
Kilsman.
yeah,
for-
they signed John Stone, which again was a backup keeper at Palace.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They brought in
They signed
Andre.
Strawn Larson, who I think is going to
Yes,
be
from
okay.
Celta Vigo. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
That's not too
I
bad.
guess D. I guess.
I
guess
would say,
D.
yeah.
D.
Andre from Fluminense, which you guys probably know a little bit more about him,
Yes,
but we
yes.
talked about
Yeah.
that a
No,
little
I'm
bit. in
being
the
stupid.
group chat.
I'm forgetting who they're signing. Yeah, I put them D. I put them right behind Liverpool. I think they had a better window than the relegation candidates there, apart from Newcastle.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I
They
agree
got
with
rid
that.
of their
I think,
captain and their best player.
yeah, captain and their best defender. To be honest, like
And then their
No, the best
player
defender's still there. No, Nelson Semedo.
no, no, definitely not Semedo, bro. You and I know that very well. I think before Kilman, it was Connor Cody, and then they let him go to Everton,
Yeah.
right? And then I thought for sure they find a way to keep Kilman, but in the first 3 games of the season, it's been so apparent that's who they're missing in the back. And yeah, man, I
Their
don't know.
run though is just crazy.
It's wild. It's a wild run to have with not having as much talent field as you like. But I think some of the ballers they have are absolute ballers, but there's just a small handful of those players. They really need to. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they need to. I don't know, make some loans in the January window happen. I don't know, but Wolves have to level up somehow, or else they will be at that relegation battle. But
Mhm.
how does this look, guys? To conclude the video,
I think we've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think this is a good list. If I had to pick one to maybe move around a little bit, it's probably Chelsea, to be honest.
Bit of an agenda there. I think where they are is good.
Yeah, that's fair. Right in the middle of the pack, but we'll see. We'll see. I think the striker position is going to come back to haunt them tremendously this season. I really
Like
do.
you mentioned with Solanke, right? The striker market is, all over the place.
Yeah.
They could have had Osimhen. They could have. The thing is, they were already talking to one. They could have.
I want to know why that deal didn't happen.
I don't know. There has to be some PSR thing they feared. I feel like that's what it was. Like,
I don't know. I don't know what they have over PSR and all that, but they have something over them because there's no way they've gotten away with it.
yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
and I know the reason. It's because, and they've created a rule. It's because they have these long 8-year contracts, and so when they pay $50 million for a player and it's over 8 years, it's only going against them. I can't do the math. What, like $6 million?
Yeah.
Nothing.
And that's how you get away with it.
And Josh just signed a 10-year renewal as well. There you go.
Yeah. So that his fee just got,
2033. My God.
they love loopholes.
Yeah. Lawyers do
AGM.
in general. Lawyers love loopholes in general. It's worked out nice for them so far. But again, I just say it. I want to hear from a Chelsea fan, to be honest, in the comments down below. Let us know, man. Do you feel like you have what it takes? You signed 20 fucking players in this window, and not one of them was a striker that I feel can meaningfully add value to that attack for this season. It's probably going to end up being the Cole Palmer show again. I could be wrong, but look, we'll find out. But I really don't think
Finally, just quickly, end off the video. Everyone reel off. They're signing up the summer super, super quick. I'll start off.
Go ahead.
Chad Riyad, 10 million Crystal Palace.
Bro,
you cannot go wrong with that.
There's so much bias in that fucking pick.
Chad Riyad, 2 Crystal Palace.
Awesome.
As soon as that's what happened, I'm coming to the show with that in mind. Back in July 10th.
Fair. Austin, who's your signing of the window?
Jordan Ayew.
Get it.
What? There's no way.
Jose say Sterling and ended it all off.
Yeah. I mean,
no, we're not doing
a guy
that.
that went to Leicester City. But I'm going to say Max Kilman for 30 mil. Like, he's already shown that he's helped them a bunch.
It's a good signing. It's a good
If
signing.
I feel like an honest one, I would probably say either Onana or Gundo for free and
Mazraoui's up there for me.
Fair. Mazraoui's a great
Mazraoui?
signing. Yeah, his health is 50-50. That's a good signing. I think for me, it is Onana. I've been raving about him already. I think he's already shown that he's going to be able to step into Douglas Luiz's shoes and perform. I think it'll be curious to see how he does with Europe. But I really feel like he gives them a lot that even Douglas Luiz couldn't offer. We've talked about it already. So I think he's going to be one of their standout performers all season long, provided that he stays healthy. So Villa had a great window. All right, man. I think that's it. Look, in the comments again down below, let us know who your signing of the window was. There wasn't as much movement, due to PSR, financial sustainability, all of those things having a big impact on, especially on the top end of the Premier League in terms of how those clubs moved in the window. But hey, it didn't stop Chelsea from signing a whole second team. So, at the end of the day, there was a lot of movement. There were some good signings in this window, and this was our assessment of every one of the 20 Premier League teams. So. We'll end the video here. From everybody here at Yanks to the Roundtable, my name's Jose. That's Austin. That's Hoffman. We'll catch you guys next time.